Hi everyone. So, came on here. I know I usually don't live stream on this channel, but today I had my first driving lesson. Give me a minute here, actually, while I set everything up. Hopefully, all of you can hear me and everything sounds good. Typing in a couple of things here, so just give me a minute. Excuse me. Doing a couple of things here, so give me a minute. Okay, so yeah, basically talking about my first time driving here. So I was in a red 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4 sedan, and yeah, so I was taken out of school around 1:30. Again, I was in a 2020 red Mitsubishi Mirage G4 sedan, and my driving instructor, he introduced me to him, and we drove to his office. I did an eye test, and he had me sign some things, and then he basically drove me to an empty parking lot in a business center, so or some sort of a business building. And yeah, so basically, and then he sat me down in the driver's seat. I got things adjusted, like the seat, the mirrors, all that type of stuff. The headlights, the windshield wipers. And actually, when I turned the windshield wipers, discovered that we got a parking ticket, and we were probably only inside the building for about 5 or 10 minutes. And yeah, we got a parking ticket. Yet my driving instructor paid for the spot, but we still got a driving ticket. Hope my audio sounds good. My audio sound good? All right, I don't know what this is doing now. Hi. Okay, seems to be fine. But yeah. We discovered that though. Yeah, I was just a witness because got a parking ticket. Yeah, you paid was about I think over $21. But yeah, basically, when I turned the windshield wipers on. But yeah, basically showed me the lights. Showed me high beams. Blinkers, that sort of thing. How the windshield wipers work. I got the seat adjusted. The seat's just a lever at the bottom, you move it back and forth. Mirrors adjusted. The wheel I adjusted a little bit later on. But yeah, the wheel in the Mitsubishi Mirage is basically a lever you pull down, you move it up and down. It doesn't tell in telescope though, you just move it up and down. And then the seatbelt anchor, we use a little thing that you kind of have to push out on it to adjust it. So I had to do that. So yeah, they had to do that. And then once I got ready, I put in the drive, and then basically we kind of drove around the parking lot a little bit. At first we were kind of doing it, I guess, counterclockwise. Like the parking lot was a big square around the building. Had a lot of potholes, and there's a lot of just areas where there'd be cars, and all of a sudden it's just big open space. And then, because I think at one point behind the building there was a black Honda Ridgeline on one side, and then there was this silver Mitsubishi Outlander parked on the other side, except the Ridgeline was kind of facing me, but like in the opposite direction. It wasn't on, but that silver Outlander was facing more, facing the curb. And then the grass, which had a little hill, and then onto the street. But yeah, we went around. There was also a couple trailers parked back there too, refrigerated trailers. But my biggest issue at first was mainly that I was either in the center of the road, I wasn't completely over to the right, or sometimes I would miss stop signs, or sometimes I would brake too hard or brake randomly, or sometimes I would maybe speed up a little bit too fast as well. But eventually I got it. I would stop, turn on my turn signal, and then I would inch out a little bit because there was this one stop I had to stop at. And then I couldn't see it to my left at all because the building would be in the way. So basically I'd stop there, and I'd have to inch out a little bit, make sure no one's coming. And then, of course, I could make my turn. And then we also did it the other way as well, where basically, stop sign, had to turn. But yeah, I think part of my problem was I worried about hitting the cars, and there were a couple of times where I was close to hitting cars or the curb. But again, yeah, there was a couple of times I was kind of like right in the middle of the street as well. So yeah, but once I got comfortable with that, though, we tried a couple of K turns. So basically, I actually have it up here on my phone, a picture that was sent to me on basically like how to do the K turns. Just give me a minute here. Actually, no, that's not for the K turns. But yeah, I had to do K turns. So yeah, it's basically kind of like, just try not to show anything here. But yeah, that's basically kind of like what it looks like. How to make the K turn. I'm trying not to show the phone number here, but yeah. So yeah, I had to turn on my left turn signals, and I had to turn the wheel all the way to the left, and then I had to drive until I was about to hit the curb, but don't hit the curb. Use your mirrors, because this Mirage, again with the sedan, basically it had a backup camera, and it had little mirrors that my driving instructor installed on the car. Other than that, that was it. But yeah, so drive until about hit the curb. Of course, don't hit the curb. You don't want to do that. And then put the car in reverse, and then you turn the wheel all the way to the right. And then you reverse until, again, about to hit the curb, but you don't hit the curb. And then you put the car in the drive, turn the wheel all the way to the left, and then you drive away. So in the right lane. So yeah, we did some K turns, eventually got the hang of that, and then eventually started driving around the block. So basically, we first started doing right turns. So basically, I would make a right turn. Well, I believe the first one we did, I made a right turn, and then there was another turn I made that I had to automatically go over to the left because I believe we went around another building. We did that once. Even though one time though, I believe a big pickup truck for trailer was letting us go, and that truck, they flashed their lights to let us go. And our instructor waved, and I also waved, and that was a big mistake because I almost kind of crashed into a light pole by doing that. And yeah, I had a couple of instances that were like that. But yeah, basically, we went around the block though. So basically, I would make a right, and then there would be a stop sign onto a main road. So basically, I turn on my right turn signal. I would stop there, and then I would make sure no one's coming from the left to the right because my driving instructor told me that I had to stop for about 3 seconds. If I didn't see anyone coming, if I couldn't see, then just move out a little bit more. Just kind of take my foot off the brake pedal just so I can see a little bit more, see if anyone's coming. If no one's coming, then go, and that's what I would do. And then there would be another right coming up, make sure no one's coming from the left because there was also left turning lanes, so cars coming in from the left. So basically, I would turn to the right, and then I'd have to make another right back into the street with all the business buildings and stuff. So yeah, we did that a couple of times. But I think my biggest problem with that, though, that sometimes there'd be a turn where I'd be going way too fast on it or making the turn way too wide to where I'd be right in the middle of the street instead of off to the right, because here in the US, we drive on the right side of the road. So sometimes I'd be making the turn too fast or going off to the right. And my driving instructor has a brake, so he would sometimes hit the brakes, to try and slow me down. And then we started doing the left-hand turns. I definitely struggled with. Again, eventually I got it, and also this was also right around the time where a lot of people were getting out of school and work. Again, this is earlier today, so we'd be waiting a lot. But yeah, sometimes though I'd be kind of like over the yellow line, or sometimes off into the shoulder, or almost hitting the curb, or sometimes almost going off the road, which wasn't good. Again, I didn't. There was a couple of times where I got pretty close, or I almost would, or I'd almost run into people because sometimes I'd just be going too fast. But yeah, the left turn I definitely struggled with, and sometimes I'd just be randomly braking, and yeah, so that wasn't too good. Sometimes I feel like my modulation with the gas pedal, and also with the brake pedal, like sometimes I definitely need to work on that as well. Like sometimes I would stop like really, really hard, and sometimes I'd be going too fast as well. But yeah, after we did that a couple of times, then he told me to just, once I made my left turn out of the street, then instead of making another left back into, I guess, the business district, or or the building, or the area with the business buildings in it. Basically, he told me to keep on driving straight. And this road is pretty windy. It was about 35, 45 mile per hour road. But yeah, it's pretty windy, had a lot of hills. And yeah, so basically, I was having some trouble with that. Usually, from what I've heard, students, they usually do a little bit better with that, but I feel like for me, it wasn't the best though, because either I would kind of go off to the left and almost, go over the dull yellow lines, or almost go off to the right and go into the shoulder. I was trying to look into the mirrors to make sure I wouldn't go off in either way, but also trying to look ahead to make sure I didn't go off either way either. And sometimes I'd be turning the wheel, and sometimes I would turn it too far, and yeah. So I mean, I didn't crash into anything, but definitely there were a couple of times that were kind of pretty scary, and I feel like it especially got bad right around one area. We were turning into the International Trade Center, and that got really bad because right as I was turning, there was like a very dark blue black Toyota Camry SE behind me, and basically, like, I was trying to turn, and I was turning right onto the street. And I think there was a couple of times where I braked because I was almost going to run into something, and then they beeped. They beeped at me. I mean, they didn't clearly see that, hey, this is a driving school, because we had all the driving school stuff on this car, student driver. I know it wasn't good that I did that, but still, I braked, and then yeah, they went around me, and yeah, but yeah, and then also, there were some times where a driving instructor would kind of yell at me, like, like, dude, like, don't do this. So yeah, um, but yeah, so basically, I, we drove throughout, the International Trade Center, and then basically, I made a right onto US 46, which is a pretty big road. I mean, it's not an interstate or anything, but still, it's a US highway, about 45, 50 mile per hour speed limit on it. We're going westbound. And basically, there was like a turning lane, like a right turning lane. And basically, I had to, get over. Of course, I was staying in the right lane. But sometimes I would kind of drift off to the left lane or drift off into the shoulder. There were a couple of times at lights where I wouldn't be paying attention or just spacing out or whatever, and so then the light would turn green and I wouldn't go. Now, from what my mother's been telling me is that, even when the light turns green, I have to wait a second or two just in case, someone runs the red light and they might possibly hit me, which obviously that wouldn't be good if that happened. So, yeah, my mother basically told me that, at those, I definitely could wait at least a couple of seconds just in case, someone comes out and then they might hit me. But yeah, there were a couple of times where that would happen. And of course, my driving instructor would be like, go, go. Like, there was one time where I thought we were going to turn onto one road. Like, there was one road I thought we were going to make a right onto. And I asked him, do you want to make a right onto this road? He said no. And then the light turned green. And I was kind of like, I guess, spacing out or trying to process what was going on for a second. And he told me to go. And then I'm just like, all right, I'm going to go straight. And yeah. And then we made another right, right near where there was like a gas station on one side, and then there was also a Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram dealer, also kind of in another corner of that intersection. And then but yeah, basically I had to make another right, and then yeah, basically we went into a parking lot, another parking lot with a building in it, and then basically I stopped, and he told me to pop the trunk because then he was getting out cones to do parallel parking with me, which actually the parallel parking I did pretty decently, I feel like. I didn't do bad with the parallel parking. So basically with the parallel parking, what I did was that basically, because yeah, you got all these cones and stuff, they had sticks in them out of the trunk, and then basically it said here, align cone car to back of door, and then I had to turn on my right turn signal, and I had to turn the wheel all the way to the right. And then I had to reverse until the cones were gone, and the smaller mirrors that were on the bigger mirrors. And basically I had to back up, and then I had to straighten the wheel, and I had to make and basically I had to straighten the wheel twice. I had to make sure the Mitsubishi symbol, like the Mitsubishi logo on the steering wheel, I had to make sure that was, up, like the standard Mitsubishi logo. Like, you want to make sure it's like the wheel was straight and that the Mitsubishi logo was. Because again, this is a 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. You wanted to make sure that the logo on the wheel was, the wheel was straight, and the logo on the wheel was, was up, or symbol up. And then basically I had to reverse, as slow as possible until touching the curb. And again, this car had a backup camera, so I would be watching the backup camera, looking in the mirrors, and then when touching the curb, because a little green line on the back camera would be touching the curb, I had to turn the wheel all the way to the right, and I had to put the car in drive, and then, basically move up. But yeah, but the green line had to touch the curb, and then the red line on the backup camera had to touch the curb, and then basically, I believe, I had to I had to turn the wheel all the way to the right. I had to put the car in drive. And if I can't drive anymore, turn the wheel all the way to the left and reverse. But basically, yeah, it's basically straightening yourself out. And a lot of time I just had to put the wheel in drive and then just turn just a little bit. And yeah, the parallel parking I did pretty well at. Again, same thing with K turns. K turns not as well, but generally I feel like I did better with the slower stuff rather than going on the actual roads. So, and again, the Mitsubishi Mirage, doesn't have. I mean, we owned a black 2015 Mitsubishi Mirage hatchback. Not really a good car. A very unsafe car. Not a good car, but it's what I had. And yeah, that car has like no horse, barely doesn't have a lot of horsepower, and I believe it's like 74 horsepower or something. But yeah, it doesn't have a lot of horsepower at all. Actually one of the slowest cars on the market, and yeah, and well, at least here in the U.S., at least again, this car was about 2020, I would say, because it was built I think in December 2019, so it was about a 2020 model. But yeah, and but after we did the parallel parking and the K turn, because we did some more K turns, I got out of the parking lot. And from that parking lot we were in, it was a brewery, or right near a brewery. Basically I had to make a left there. I only had to go like a mile or so. It really wasn't all that bad. I mean, there was one slip up where I think I almost went off to. I couldn't remember if I almost went over the Dolio. I think I almost hit the curb, but at the last second I caught myself and I didn't, which is good. Um, but yeah. And then, I got back here and I parked right behind my mother's 2021 Hyundai Elantra SEL. And, that was that. So, then basically my driving instructor, kind of did a quick, kind of told my parents about something, and of course I told them about what happened. Oh yeah, and also when I was going around that parking lot too, I did see a Google Maps Street View car as well, and I was going around the parking lot, the first parking lot of that business, around that business building I was in. So that was pretty cool. I saw Google Maps Street View car, and I think also when I was coming back to here too, when I was about half a mile away from here, I also did see a Cybertruck too. So that was also pretty interesting as well. But yeah, that was that. Um, and the Mirage, again, it's not that good of a car. Mainly my thing is that the wheel didn't telescope, which I didn't like. That car felt pretty uncomfortable to drive after a while. And I feel like my arms are like completely stretched out, which I don't like. But just in general, I was also just stretched. And then of course I made mistakes. I was stressed. And again, I'm doing my 6 hours. I live in the state of New Jersey in the US. So I did 3 hours today. I'm going to probably do another 3 hours another time. I'm going to be doing more practice. Probably with my mom's car. Again, a 2021 Hyundai Elantra SEL. So yeah, and that car has more safety features on it. Has a backup camera. The backup camera also stays on too, for a little bit. And there's also a separate camera button on that car too, because this Mirage didn't have that. I mean, this Mirage basically all I had was a backup camera and the little mirrors that I guess the driving instructor installed, and that was about it. Very, very bare bones car. And again, I think this car is about 2020 model, I would say. Yeah. It has about 78 horsepower, at least according to Kelley Blue Book, which seems about right. Again, I I was driving a Mirage V4, and yeah, and I think I was in a limited version, or at least that's what it said on the back of it. That was a limited, so yeah, it had a red exterior, had a black interior with some red in some of the seat inserts, and I believe some red stitching on the wheel and the shifter. But yeah, has 3-cylinder engine, has CVT automatic transmission, front-wheel drive. And yeah, and according to Kelley Blue Book, makes the Mitsubishi Mirage at least powerful new car in the market, and the only one with a 2-digit horsepower rating, at least in 2024. And again, this car was a 2020, I would say. So yeah, and again, we used to own a 2015 Mirage, but that car is gone, which because it got replaced with a 2021 Hyundai Elantra SEL, and then we got a 2000, and then we had a 2007 Yaris, and that got replaced for a 2023 Elantra SEL that we have. But yeah, I noticed me and my family, despite us getting rid of our Mirage a couple of years ago, like I feel like we always still run the Mitsubishi in some way. Because at least in my state of New Jersey, yeah, I've been seeing a lot more Mitsubishi dealers, and well, I've been seeing a lot. Well, whenever I go to malls, especially if there's Simon Malls, I see a good amount of Mitsubishis, like Outlanders, sometimes Eclipse Crosses, and yeah, and also last year when my dad's 2023 Hyundai Elantra SEL got backed into, um, by another car, which interestingly enough, this car actually, the person that owned it actually lived on the street behind us, according to the insurance information. But yeah, they got out, they gave us insurance and stuff, which is good. We got that car fixed, which I have done a whole bunch of videos on that last year. And then we also had a 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander ES that my dad had, which he did not like that car at all. And SUV base trim of the Outlander. He was running it for about a week or for a week. He ended up just driving my mom's 2021 Elantra SEL, for therapy and stuff. Whenever he had to go out, like for therapy and stuff like that. Because he works from home, so he doesn't have to drive like all the time like my mother does, because my mother works at a Target. So, but still though, he still need a car though to drive. But yeah, but basically he only drove this car though when he was bringing it to and back from the rental place. I believe he ran it from Enterprise or something. But yeah, I used my mom's Hyundai Elantra or 2021. We need to go out somewhere because he's familiar with that car, and because he did not driving that Outlander, and just like how I did not like driving this Mirage. But yeah, first car I ever sat in the front driver's seat in would probably be my mom's 2021 Hyundai Elantra SEL, and that's probably going to be a car I'm going to probably drive more in the future. And then the first car I actually got to drive was the 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. So yeah. So I think I talked about everything on here. Live stream's been going on for almost 30 minutes now. But I really hope that all of you enjoyed this live stream, though. Yeah, I hope that all of you enjoyed this live stream. And I'm probably going to have another lesson soon or at some point. So I guess I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I hope that all of you enjoyed this live stream. Stay safe out there. And I'll see all of you next time. Bye, everyone.